Any rational function problem where you're trying to see what it looks like should begin with factoring. When everything is completely factored, you should have what you see here. Before I even factor, I can tell the end behavior by looking at the leading term in the numerator over the denominator. F of x equals 1 is my end behavior, which is a horizontal asymptote. Also, now that I have things factor, I can see that I have a hole at x equals 0. So 0 comma something. I'll go ahead and find the y-coordinate of this by plugging in 0 for all the remaining x's, because remember, what you see here is equal to y. So if you plug in 0 for x, you'll find the new y-coordinate as long as you've canceled out the hole. And when I do, I get 0 times everything else. Turns out it'd be 0 times -4 divided by -4. But none of that matters, because when I multiply anything by 0, I'm going to get 0. So I can put the hole right there. Now something I just said, 0 times anything equals 0. Well, that's going to be your zeros when the numerator equals 0, except for any holes, will be a 0. So that means x minus 4 equals 0, or x equals 4 is a 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have a 0 right there. Similarly, when the denominator equals 0, that's when I'm dividing by 0. That's when I have a vertical asymptote, except, of course, when there's a hole. So in this case, x minus 2 equals 0 at x equals 2. X plus 2 equals 0 at x equals plus 2. And so I'll graph those two vertical lines. And so now I can start to graph my function. I must stay within these two asymptotes and go through the 1, 0 I had. That also means that over here, I must stay within those two asymptotes, and notice there were no more zeros. So I couldn't have come up like that, because I would have made a 0. That would all be wrong. So I'm going to erase all that. So now the question is, what happens in this portion of the graph? Well, the best way to find out is to just pick a value or two if you're not sure. Pick x equals 1. Using this equation will tell you what the y is. So y equals 1 times 1 minus 4. I went ahead and decided to plug in both x equals 1 and -1 because the math wasn't that hard. For 1, I got 1. And for -1, I got -5/3, or -1 2/3. So that helps us draw the final part of the graph, just like that. Now you try a very similar problem right here. Pause the video, try it, and come back and you'll see the answer has been given. These are the key attributes for your practice problem, and this is how it's graphed.